is up, guys? We're back for this little podcasty thing. Obviously should have been sooner than later. I was a little wrapped up, plus I'm feeling a little under the weather too. My sinuses are like killing me right now, so if I sound like death, that's why. I'm okay. I promise. I'm on the mend. I'm okay. Just cold weather coming in. My head does not appreciate it. First and foremost, I always want to thank everybody for supporting the channel, whether or not you are part of the Patreon membership or the YouTube memberships, or if you're stopping by the streams, or if you're just hitting a thumbs up on a video. Just know that I really appreciate it and that I love you all very much. It is super, super, super helpful, especially when I don't know, kind of in a funk sometimes, to be honest with you. I feel like sometimes I really want this YouTube thing to just blow up and take off and do wonderful things. And I've been grinding away at this thing for like 4 years, and it's been rough, to be honest with you. It's kind of rough when I think about it like that. Like, I'm really grateful for relationships and people that I've met along the way. It can be very disheartening. I don't know if you're out there as a content creator or trying to make it through the grind of doing this stuff, but it can be very... I mean, like, what I thought I was getting into, I didn't realize what I was getting into. Don't get twisted. I do still like what I'm doing and everything, but man, the time versus what's happening out of it, I don't know. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. I don't know. I probably bounced back and forth with that in my head over the years with me doing this, whether or not I should keep doing it or not. But I guess for right now, we're just going to keep the course, stay on the course for a little while. Yeah. I really started out of the gates in like a bummer mood, didn't I? I didn't mean to tell you it that way. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. What else? What's cool? Grounded got its full release. That's pretty cool. Kind of excited to see that. Might want to go back and play that a little bit. Our current Ark playthrough has been super fun. That hybrid mod has been absolutely hysterical. Just things I would never have expected to see and do in that game with that mod have, like, I don't know. It was a game changer for sure. I really enjoyed it though. I had a lot of fun with it. Hope you guys are having fun with it so far as well. We're actually running that mod on our community server too, and I'm really enjoying that one. To be honest, I'm not sure what I'm going to do after Ark. I really don't know. After Fjordur, I mean, I've seen another maps or so come out, and they seem kind of interesting to me. Problem is, I always get worried about modded maps because I don't know. 9 times out of 10, something doesn't work right. I have a bunch of problems with bugs, and normally I wouldn't care, but I'm trying to do recording from it. It can be super frustrating. So I'm not 100% sold on. I think it was like a newer map that came out that really looked cool. I can't remember the name of it now. Something with an S. Probably something that's like, it's another one of those like I can barely pronounce sort of situations. I feel like that's what I'm stuck in right now, but that's okay. At any rate, that did look kind of cool. I'll wait to see what happens out of that, but I don't know, man, the more and more I look at it, the more and more I'm thinking, am I still gonna do Ark playthroughs? Because I'm kind of running out of maps at this point, and to be honest with you, I would like to do some new stuff and try some new things. It doesn't seem like that's something the community's a huge fan of. I've definitely noticed that since I've like stopped doing the mod reviews and things like that, the views on the channel have like pretty much tanked, and I think that's also probably what has me in a little funk too. It's hard to change the style up and then change things up so that I'm still enjoying myself and then expect to keep the same audience, and clearly that doesn't happen very much, but yeah, it is what it is. I understand that I'm not everybody's cup of tea. The fact that there's this many people hanging around is kind of a surprise to me, to be completely honest with you. I don't know about Ark 2 still. I think that's still up in the air. I don't know. Again, I feel like I've said this a million times, but I feel like I'm right about this, but I hope I'm wrong. I have a bad feeling that game is really just made to cater to a bigger audience to make more money. And that might sound cynical, it might sound pessimistic, but I feel like that's what it's doing. It's using the game that it currently has that has been really successful, and then using that to promote a game to appeal to even more people to try to get even more money. It's kind of how I feel about it, honestly. It's just, I don't know. I'm not sold on it. I'm just not. I should be, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overly pessimistic. Like I said, I hope I'm dead wrong with it. That'd be awesome if I was, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Conan Exiles has been super fun. I'm really enjoying actually playing with Raptor. Oftentimes I find myself playing games and trying to fill in the quiet noise sometimes, you know, trying to find something else to interact with. And with Ark, it was always kind of funny because I could have these little conversations with dinosaurs and it was hilarious, and you guys kind of like enjoyed it for some strange reason, but you did, and you enjoyed me standing there talking to virtual pet animals, and it was great. But with other games, sometimes it's kind of hard to do. Plus, Raptor and I are brothers practically. We're as close as non-family members get as to being family is pretty much how it works. Like, there's no blood relation, but I mean, other than that, that's pretty much it. Anywho, but it's really good to be able to catch back up with him. Obviously, we don't game together quite as much as I would like to, so having something like that where we can both hang out and play and kind of do that thing, and then maybe slowly introduce some of the other community members in there too in the regular. Really, for me, it's a test of the audio and making sure I get the audio and things right. So I kind of want to tiptoe my way into adding other people in to make sure I get it right, and no more robo Harvs. We all know how that turned out. Sorry about that one. That was one of those things that probably just drove me absolutely nuts. I had to take a funny spin on it, because if I didn't, I was going to pull what little hair I have left out of my head. I was so, like, aggravated when I recorded that. I was like, man, I'm going to get ahead of stuff. I'm going to record all this stuff ahead of time. This is going to be so much easier. I'm going to get ahead of things because I got a vacation plan, and that way all the uploads will happen at the same time. So I did like this massive recording tangent, and when I came back to go back and edit it, I had realized that I had duped the audio tracks twice, so I was listening to like an echo of myself everywhere. So I took a funny spin on a really bad oopsie, and I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. But chances of it not happening again, well, that's a lie. I'm not going to tell you it's not going to happen again. Truth be told, it's probably going to happen again at some point in time, whenever you least expect it to happen. Kind of leads me to Generation Zero. That game was hilariously good. I really enjoyed that game. Man, that was another one that kind of just snuck up on me that I wasn't sure how it was going to play out, and it turned out to be like a freaking awesome game. I had a lot of fun with it. Again, it was one of those games where I just thought I would go in and be like a shooter-looter sort of thing, and there's so much more going on with it. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed that one. The scalability of that game, the way that it kind of scales to your play style, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for that at all. It definitely, the more and more I played it, the more and more I realized, I'm like, no, this game is scaling. Like, the more aggressive I am, the more aggressive this game is getting. And that is definitely the truth. At first, I thought I was making it up in my head, but the truth is, no. It was actually really slick engineering. The gunplay was great, like that 80s feel, very Red Dawn-ish. It was just a great time, really. That was just a fun game to pick up and play. And I'd be interested in playing that on like a really high difficulty to really kind of make you use all the little things to sneak around and sort of have those guerrilla warfare tactics with the robots instead of running all gun-ho like I did in there, which sometimes worked out and sometimes really didn't. All in all, what a really fun game, and I'm looking forward to going back and playing some of that again. What else? I don't know what else. You know, there was something I was thinking about, an idea that I had in mind that I wanted the community's opinion on. I was thinking the next time we do a podcast, instead of just me sitting here rambling into a microphone and you guys listening for whatever reason, I love you, but you're crazy. Maybe I would do something, incorporate a couple of our community members, and then do it live on top of that. Like, do a live stream podcast. That way people could still come in, and you'd still be able to watch it later whenever you wanted to, but then we could also get the community involved in whatever topic we might be willy-nilly talking about. You know, maybe it's stuff in the gaming industry, a new game coming out, we can check out together, some other fun stuff. Whatever the case is, you know, pretty much video game related is pretty much the only criteria to that. And I don't know, maybe there's some new games coming out, because honestly, when I look at the video game industry today, it's just, oh boy. You know, I've been playing games for a long time. I feel like it might sort of be a kind of a hot take, but I feel like I'd need to give you a lot of context before I said what that was. And I feel there's some really great things that have happened in video games over the years, and a lot of things that I'm just kind of with over the years. Maybe not a lot. There's definitely more good than bad. But for me, gaming was always like an outlet for me. Definitely, now that I look back on my younger life, I had a lot of like social anxiety and things like that, and I was always kind of nervous. Never really felt like I fit in. I only had a small, very group of friends. It was difficult for me. And at the time, I didn't really understand. You know, when I got older, now that I'm older, I kind of realized that's definitely like a social anxiety sort of thing, and I've definitely figured out ways to handle that and cope with it when it comes and when it arrives. And this channel honestly has been a huge part of helping me kind of do that, to be real. I think it's that buffer of not like physically being in front of people and talking to them. I think it's kind of helpful, but at the same time, it gets me out of my shell, which is a good thing for somebody like me. But anyway, you know, I had that when I was younger, and video games definitely helped me de-stress and kind of not think about all of that stuff that was going on. And it was definitely a little bit of escapism, but also like really good, almost therapeutic in a lot of ways, you know? And as I grew older, I found other people that played video games too. And what I found as I got older, it was just another form of camaraderie, you know? And then I found that more oftentimes than not, it was more about a group of us just sitting around and talking over a microphone than it was really about the game that we were playing. And I ended up making a lot of other friends that way and developing relationships with those friends. You know, it's kind of crazy that video games are able to do that, but they really are. You know, fast forward to my life today, and what I found like today, for instance, when I was talking about Raptor earlier, like him and I are brothers, man, and we've grown up and our lives get super hectic and we don't see each other nearly as much as we do, but we still have that one thing, you know, we can get on Discord and play a video game and just bullshit with each other. And I feel like it's always been really important in my life in some way, shape, or form, which on the surface I'm sure sounds kind of silly, you know, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a video game, and they're not to be taken too seriously, I don't think. Unless you're probably playing it competitively, which definitely isn't me. Have you watched any of that content that I've made? I'm definitely not playing competitively with anything unless it's like death, some sort of dying record. Maybe I might hold that one. But in general, like I said, it's just been a huge part of my life and something that I value for quite a lot of different reasons throughout my time as a child and growing up. Well, I guess you could argue whether or not I've actually grown up or not, but slightly more grown up. I guess I've aged. I can't really say I've actually grown up. Age is probably the better term. I've aged. I've physically been on this earth for more years. I don't know if I've ever actually matured that well. But at any rate, there's been a lot of things that I've seen in the gaming industry change. A lot of things that I've really enjoyed and that I've really loved seeing, you know? I just think about even just the little things, just like I mean, they may sound little, I know that they're not, but just for sake of argument, things like graphics, you know, I look at the games that I used to play years ago and what they are now, and it's like, wow, it's like some of this is lifelike. But not only maybe some of the graphics have gotten more realistic, but now because video games have become even more popular, I'm starting to see a lot of more like artistic twists on games, you know, like where it's meant to look a certain way for a specific reason. Something that would jump to mind is something like that would be like the Borderlands series, which was very much meant to be a very comic bookish sort of outlook on a game, and it was done really well. Other games like Valheim, I think, were supposed to be very whimsical by nature. Now, not only did it make the engine easier to run, but it had a separate style to it. So I start to see a lot of those things, and that's always something. More artistic freedom and creativity in video games, I've definitely been seeing that over the years, and that's always been something that I've genuinely liked. Bigger games, specifically for that reason. Much larger games. You know, I definitely remember the days of having either what was it, like right around the time they started putting games on CDs, you'd have like 6 CDs to play a Final Fantasy game. It was absolutely bonkers, and now it's not like that, which is crazy. These huge, gigantic, world-bearing games you just download and run and play. It's kind of a cool concept. So the technology behind gaming in general has just been, I don't know, it's been super fun to watch and to see it kind of grow and evolve. And I kind of roughly touched on this, but just the idea that gaming has gotten so much more popular, you know? I feel like for a while there, it was, at least when I was growing up, it was kind of niche, and you definitely fell into a certain category of person if you were just playing video games. You were like, oh, they're playing video games, what a nerd. And now it's almost socially awkward if you don't play video games whatsoever. It's become that popular, and it's breaking like people. It goes past age barriers, culture barriers, identity barriers, any of that. You know, people that would not normally mix, talk to each other, have anything in common are now online playing video games with each other. And I think that's an awesome concept. The idea of being able to connect people like that. Not only that, but what comes with that, with all that attention, is all the other cool stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't think anybody would have thought about making a social media platform of watching people play video games over the years, you know? But now that's a possibility. That's possibly a thing now. And it's a thing because of the popularity of video games now. This is a pretty cool concept. I really enjoy that. A lot of different developers, a lot of independent companies now coming out and making all their own video games. So you get more of a variety, you know? There's a lot of games out there currently that I don't really have too much interest in, but that doesn't mean that I think they're a bad game, you know? I think Elden Ring looks awesome. I think it looks like a fantastic game, and I would enjoy watching somebody play Elden Ring. I know for a fact if I pick up Elden Ring, I will throw my mouse through my monitor and someone will get very angry and yell at me because of it. That someone's probably Mrs. Harv, to be honest with you. She's gonna get pissed. The last time I shot a TV, she was not happy with me, and I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, the idea of that variety is super appealing. I think it's a great concept, and I really enjoy that. The idea of just being able to add so much different aspects and different creativity. I think the variety in gaming is something that will never be a bad thing. So when people tell me, you know, oh, well, the gaming industry is dying, yada, 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 I find that hard to believe. And what I think they really mean is the games that I want to play aren't out, or I don't have any interest in the games that are coming out. And if that is the case, what I would challenge you to do is to look more into the independent games, the small games, the indie games that are coming out. Look more into those and give them a try. There's been a lot of those games where I'll be honest, most AAA games these days, not a fan of. I'm not a fan of, because they want to charge you $70 for a broke ass game that don't work, and maybe 3 years later they'll actually give you the whole game. You know, I've seen that happen so many times. It's not even funny. But I find myself more oftentimes, like with games like Valheim, when it came out, I was like, this is kind of an awesome little sleeper game that came out, and it was fantastic. Like, this was great. This is what I wanted. And I just wish that we had more of that, to be honest with you. More of that. I feel like it's super important. So when people tell me that, you know, the gaming industry's dead, it's yada, 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 I would agree that it is most certainly changing. It has most certainly changed over the years. Dead, however, I feel like I feel the same way when somebody tells me rock is dead. That's when I'm just like, you have no idea what you're talking about. No, what you like or isn't available, or you want things to be a certain way and you're mad because it's not getting that way, I guess, which is what it is. But all in all, pretty satisfied. When you think about what the gaming industry was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and what it is today, holy crap, night and day. I don't think anybody would rather have the video game industry 20 years ago versus what it is today, because even if you don't like everything about it today, the potential is way more than it used to be because of the attention that it's gotten, because of the community that video games have built, you know. So I don't know, just my 2 cents on something. I was thinking about it today. I have a bad habit of just like letting my mind wander when I'm driving, which is probably not the healthiest thing for me to do. Oddly enough, I haven't been in an accident, but I was thinking about that on the way home from work today, and I kind of wanted to talk about it and just, I don't know, throw my 2 cents in there for what it's worth. You know me. But I feel like it's only fair to talk, you know, if I talk everything up about the video game industry, the other question is, what do I not like as much? And there's definitely a few things. There's definitely a few things in the gaming industry that kind of aggravate me a little bit. And if I had to pick one, if I most certainly had to pick one, and this is where, like, I don't know, depending on who's watching this, I might get like axe murdered in my sleep or something. But I think the one thing that I've been aggravated the most by, that I don't like, is the need to push an agenda or a narrative via a video game. I think that one's definitely bothered me a bit. That one, when I see that happen, when I start to see it happen, that game could be the most amazing game, but when I see that happen, I am so turned off I won't even give it a shot. Which is closed-minded. I know it's closed-minded. You don't have to tell me. I know it is. And this is just my opinion. It's worth its weight in salt. Probably even less, to be honest with you. I mean, let's be honest. It's just an opinion. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this and you're about to get ticked off about something, just realize it's just my opinion. That's all it is. I'm not telling you how it is. I'm just telling you how I feel. But oftentimes I feel like in the society that we live in, the current weather, I think is the word I will use, things are constantly being pushed in different directions for different reasons. And I oftentimes think about video games and I'm wondering, why would you do that there? Why would you do that there of all places? It seems to me like the last place you would want to do it. Video games are supposed to be that form of escapism, to get out of all that nonsense, not to drag it back in. But I don't know. What do I know? I'm just me. Just some dude. It's just some dude who makes videos online. But it just seems like, and some AAA titles have been guilty of this one too, where it's just, they are so worried about pushing something to be so that they look a certain way that they're much less concerned about actually putting out really good quality games. And like, the character has to be this, or has to be portrayed this way, or has to think this way, or has to look this way, or has to have this belief, or has to, and I just get annoyed with it, really. I think it's kind of worn out. That is what aggravates me. I never really understood it. Like, what was the... I think that's mainly because I've never really understood the idea of trying to push a narrative for any reason. You know, ultimately, nobody's going to change your mind. I think it's funny when we use that saying of, you know, oh, they changed my mind about... Not really. Well, if you are an adult, you're responsible for your own thoughts, your own actions, your own emotions, all that stuff. Nobody changes your mind. You change your mind depending on the information that might have been provided to you. But ultimately, that mind is your own, and it's up to you. So when I hear that about minds being changed or whatever, I feel like that's the point of that narrative, to push that narrative, to change someone's mind or to do something. I can't really, I don't like hearing the excuse of spreading awareness, because I think anybody with any access to the internet probably knows what's going on roughly in the world today and has already formulated their opinion because of it. But to push that through a video game just seems low to me. Honestly, it just seems low. It doesn't seem right. And I've never really been able to figure it out. And I don't know why that has to be used for that. Why use a video game for that? But hey, I mean, we see it everywhere, right? We see it in Hollywood, we see it in TV shows, yada, yada, yada. But if I had to guess, if I had to pick the one thing that probably aggravates me the most, that's most certainly the one. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, it could be a lot worse, couldn't it? And I guess that's because I don't want any sort of realism in video games a lot of times. I don't want that relatability to characters and things like that. I just... again, just my 2 cents. I've never really wanted those things out of a game, so I've always been confused why it's there. I've always looked at it like that way to escape or de-stress or just decompress in general. Something a little therapeutic, or just an opportunity to just hang out with some friends, you know? Never really understood that. And don't get it twisted, I'm not some phobic of whatever, I don't know, I feel like there's like all sorts of these like crazy phobias that you could possibly be a part of now. Which doesn't make any sense to me, because I thought that meant you were afraid of something, which still didn't make any sense. Anywho, I'm not going to get on that wagon very much at all. I feel like that's dangerous waters for me. I have a tendency of being blunt, and I'll put a foot in my own mouth. We all know how that's going to go. I don't know. At the end of the day, I guess I'm more concerned about how people act versus what they say or what they try to push, and that's just how I am. But to summarize it up, I think sometimes I look at the gaming industry and I have a bad habit, and I definitely do this, and I see myself doing it a lot more. I'm older, I'm a little bit more aware of my own screw-ups, but I find myself dwelling on maybe the negatives of the gaming industry and not necessarily all the positives. And when you really think about it, you think, honest to goodness, make a whole cold hard list about all the good and bad in the gaming industry, which is ultimately is subjective, right? I completely understand that. I think if you were to really tally it up, you'd probably find that the gaming industry is most certainly not dead, and it's not going to die anytime soon. It's way too effective. It's been way too creative. It's been way too powerful, and I think it'll outlast any crazy crap that people try to use it for. At least I hope. That's my hope anyway. But I'd be curious to hear everybody else's thoughts. Maybe throw something in the comments. Shoot, I don't know. Yeah, throw something in the comments. That makes sense. Yeah. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm talking out my butt, which would be an interesting feat. Or the things that you liked about the gaming industry so far, you know, versus what it is today. Not necessarily what it is today. What it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago versus what it is today. What do you like most about it? What do you not like very much at all? But in general, yeah, I think it's come a long way. Pretty happy with it. I don't know. That might be kind of enough out of me. It was just something I was thinking about on the way home, about the gaming industry and how I feel about it and what it's doing and what it's not doing. I'm still waiting to win the lottery, or this channel to have like a million, 3 million, 10 million subscribers, so that I can make my own video game and then do what I want. And then I will push my own narrative, and all the characters will be wearing green chili helmets, and you'll just have to deal with it. I'm kidding about the green chili helmet thing, or am I? I really would like to make my own game. That'd be kind of fun. Learn how to do that, hire a bunch of people, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I wouldn't know. I would just have to have a lot of money to give a lot of people so that they could figure it out. Because I would have to be the financial backer, because I don't have the intelligence for that. I got some creativity and some imagination, but that's about as far as it takes me, to be perfectly honest. But hey, everybody's got to start somewhere, right? But yeah, I think that's it for me. I think it's pretty much how I feel about it, what I was thinking about. Looking forward to doing that. Been thinking about doing more live streams lately too. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. Been kind of pondering about it, but I would be curious to see what people thought about doing like a live stream podcast thing, maybe like during the weekday for like an hour or two at night, just getting a bunch of people together and just jib-jabbing about whatever's going on. There's always something to jib-jab about. Plus, like I said, I think it'd be given kind of a cool opportunity for those that are around in real time to just talk about that and how things are going, and I don't know, just life stuff in general maybe. I don't know, could be anything, it doesn't matter. But that's about it out of me. I apologize for not doing one of these sooner. I mean to do them a whole lot more often, but things get hectic and then I get into a funk and I'm like, I don't want to turn this thing on, because if I do, I'm just going to start venting about a bunch of stuff that nobody's going to really care. Just maybe not care about, but I don't want to come across as some negative Nancy every 5 minutes. It's really not what I want to do. I'm definitely a bit more cynical as I've gotten older. I wholeheartedly understand that. I really do. And I agree with you if that's what you think, but I don't know. Hopefully we get somewhere else soon with it. But if you did enjoy watching it, I don't know, maybe stop by, watch some other content, see what you think, throw something in the comments, do something about it, I don't know. Tell me if you don't like it, get in the comments and be like, hey, this is crap. As long as you're honest about it, I'm open to constructive criticism. I don't mind it too much. Unless you're just being a dick to be a dick. I feel like I already had a podcast about that too. If you're just being a jerk just for the sake of being a jerk, I'm not going to listen to that. But I don't know. You actually have some constructive criticism to bring to the table? I'm about that. I can listen to it. Might not like it, but at least I'll listen to it. I feel like that has to count for something. But that's it for me. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I don't know. I had this in my head and I figured if I didn't record it now, I'd never get it done. And it was popped and it was fresh. It was there. I probably didn't even word it exactly the way I wanted to, but hopefully you guys got the gist. Love y'all. I'm out of here. See ya.